pitted us against each other. It seemed like he pitted us against each other.
This nigga brags about cussing Wolf mother out. If Wolf was alive, the way he loved his mother, we wouldn't be talking about Diddy today.
His name's Anthony Wolf Jones. And he died, I believe was killed, a month before Justin was born.
Wolf was jealous of Diddy and Meech's relationship.
Yes. Wolf got killed by that situation. Over a female, but really it was jealousy. Rest in peace to Wolf.
When Keefe D started cooperating with the feds to avoid a life sentence, he didn't just give them Pac's murder. He started naming names tied to Diddy, and one of those names was Diddy's bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones. But Wolf was more than just Diddy's security. He handled things for Diddy behind the scenes. Legal, illegal, whatever needed to be done. But according to Keefe, Wolf's loyalty came at a cost, and that cost got him killed. Now here's where it gets personal. Multiple insiders claimed that Wolf wasn't just Diddy's enforcer. He was allegedly Justin Combs' biological father. Now the story we've been told is that Wolf died in a shootout in Atlanta in 2003 after getting into an altercation over a woman with someone from Lil Meech's crew. But the details around that night are murky, and according to people who were there, Diddy planned the whole thing to set Wolf up. Before this happened, Wolf had already distanced himself from Diddy, and he wanted to start his own business. But here's the thing. Diddy owed Wolf money, and he kept stalling on paying him back. And according to Keefe's version, Wolf's death wasn't random. It was a setup. Dun 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 dun. So the question is, what was Wolf planning to do? Was he about to go public? And did Wolf know about the rumors that Justin was his son? Let's break it down.
When I look at Justin, and I look at Christian, and I look at Chance and Delilah and Jesse James, I'm like, he's the oddball. And I know they got different moms, so I get it. Right. But I'm like, I don't know about that one.
You don't see Diddy in him
at all.
So before we get into how Wolf died, you need to understand who he really was and why his loyalty to Diddy makes what happened even more suspicious. Anthony Wolf Jones wasn't some hired muscle. He'd been moving with Diddy since the early 90s. He handled dirty work, and when things got tense, Wolf was the one taking the heat. One of the most infamous examples was the Club New York shooting in 1999. As you all know, Diddy and J-Lo were partying with Shine that night when fire broke out. Diddy faced weapons and bribery charges, but Wolf made sure the cleanup was handled before the cops even got there. He allegedly got witnesses to disappear, and he helped keep Diddy out of jail while Shine took the fall.
New York, everybody that's prayed for me all over the world and sent me prayers and messages. Thank you for your prayers. You're giving me support. The people in New York, just when I'm walking in the streets, just telling me to keep my head up. And I'm just so grateful today. And my whole family. I'm just really right now, I'm just very emotional. I'm at really a loss. I'm just very emotional. I feel blessed and I'm just grateful.
What about Shine, Mr. Combs?
I'm just grateful.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir.
Now, what's important here is that Wolf had leverage. He knew where the bodies were buried, maybe literally. And Wolf was loyal to Diddy for years. That is, until he realized that loyalty was a one-way street, and Diddy had zero intention of ever paying it back. So after Wolf was acquitted in the Club New York, it inspired him to turn his life around, and he had plans to build his own name as an entrepreneur. But behind the scenes, Diddy was growing paranoid. He didn't trust that Wolf would stay quiet, especially about certain business ties involving BMF. On top of everything, Diddy owed Wolf around $300,000, and every time Wolf asked for it back, Diddy stalled. Now, what most people don't know is that before BMF ever backed Diddy, it was actually Wolf and two friends of his who put real money behind him. This was right after Diddy got fired from Uptown Records and was scrambling to launch Bad Boy. At the time, Wolf and his crew were running a successful party promotion company, though people in the streets say it was really a front for an illegal substance operation. Either way, they had cash, and they reportedly invested $300K to help Diddy get Bad Boy off the ground. Fast forward a few years after the Club New York shooting, and Wolf told Diddy he needed that bread back to fund his own business and finally step out on his own. But instead of paying up, Diddy started dodging him. Excuses, delays, empty promises, and without that money, Wolf's plan fell apart. And that was the breaking point. After years of loyalty and silence, Wolf finally realized Diddy never intended to pay him back, financially or personally. And from that point on, things between them were never the same. In late 2002, less than a year before he was killed, Wolf actually confronted Diddy in his office and demanded his money. Things got heated fast, and according to Gene Deal, Diddy didn't just blow him off. He told Wolf straight up that he didn't need him anymore because BMF had his back now. That was the moment the power dynamic flipped, and Wolf knew he'd been officially pushed out.
Wolf, I heard him say in the office, I had 300,000, man, when I first started messing with you, bro. I had 300,000. You understand? And I just want my money. I'm gonna stop, and then Puff said, yo, I'm gonna get your money. I'm gonna get your money. When I do this Universal, I think a Universal deal or something like that, he said, I'm gonna get your money. And he said that when I get your money, I'm gonna stop with you. And Wolf said, you gonna always with me. And they start like wrestling. Wolf started roughing them over in the office. I was laughing. I was outside laughing. I said, man, close the door. They closed the door. And I said, yo, Wolf, you gotta talk to that for me, because Paul trying to cut my days, and you know I got the contract for Friday, Saturdays, and Sunday. Wolf said to me, he said, yo, man, I ain't talking to nobody and for nobody until he get my money. That's his exact word.
Less than a year after that office confrontation, Wolf was dead, shot and killed by someone tied directly to BMF. On November 11, 2003, outside Club Chaos in Atlanta, Wolf got into a confrontation with Lamont Gertie, a known BMF associate. The official story says it started over a woman. Shots were fired and both men ended up dead. Big Meech was also on the scene and caught a bullet himself. He was actually shot in his buttocks, and Meech was later arrested and hit with 2 homicide charges connected to the incident. But the timing, the players involved, and the history between Diddy, Wolf, and BMF, none of it felt like a coincidence. Multiple insiders have alleged that this story about Wolf and Lamont fighting over a woman was BS, and that Diddy actually reached out to BMF to help him get rid of Wolf. Wolf had become a liability. He was pushing back and trying to get what he felt he was owed, and others say he was threatening to go public with something bigger. Either way, that shootout didn't feel random, and in the end, Wolf became just another name on the long list of people Diddy used and discarded. And to make it worse, Gene Deal later claimed that after Wolf's death, Diddy disrespected Wolf's own mother and still refused to pay back the money he owed him, even in debt.
Let's reminisce when you told Wolf's mother right after he died that you didn't owe him no $300,000, and he had delusions of grandeur, and all he wanted to do was smoke weed. Let's even go deeper than that, bruh. Let's reminisce how you had people on the security team find people to testify against Sean. You a rat. I ain't gonna even put you in the category as a rat, dog. You worse than what your father was.
Now here's where the story gets even more twisted. Rumors have been going around for years that Wolf was Justin Combs' biological father, and that both Diddy and Misa decided to keep Wolf in the dark. Justin is Diddy's eldest son, and officially Diddy is his father. But several industry insiders have hinted that Wolf actually fathered Justin during a complicated love triangle involving Diddy's ex, Misa Hilton.
Do you think that Diddy is actually Justin's father?
I wasn't there. You know, but I make indie windows like, damn, how your son look like your best friend? If he like it, I love it.
But here's where it gets even messier. When Wolf was killed in 2003, Justin was 10 years old, and Diddy reportedly still wasn't involved in his life at that point. According to a 2006 Today article, Misa even tried to get child support from Diddy, but he appealed in court and refused to pay for Justin. So it's not clear exactly when Justin started living with Diddy, but sources say that Diddy wasn't involved while Wolf was alive. And then there's also the fact that Justin doesn't look like Diddy at all. He's actually the spitting image of Wolf. And if you compare Justin to Diddy's other 4 biological kids, Christian, Chance, Jesse, and Delilah, Justin is literally the only one who doesn't share his features. Now let's talk about Misa, because before the feds swooped in on Diddy, she actually dropped some hints on Instagram suggesting Diddy might not be Justin's real dad. Here's what happened. Back in June 2023, Justin was arrested for a misdemeanor DUI in LA, and shortly after his release, Misa went off on Diddy on her stories, saying that from now on, she's going to protect just my son. Misa then addressed Diddy directly and said, "Everyone has to sit around for years and act like there isn't anything wrong with you. This is where the buck stops for me." But fast forward to now, and Misa is once again supporting Diddy, which could only mean one thing: the checks are still coming in. But now I want to hear your thoughts on all this. Was Wolf just another casualty of Diddy's power and greed, or was he trying to expose a secret that threatened Diddy's empire? And what about Justin? Do you think he suspects Diddy might not be his biological dad? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in this next video.